You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our review for Tenet, Christopher Nolan film. And I watched this recently. I actually had to watch it twice before I did this review because I had watched it a couple of weeks ago. I've been meaning to get this review out for the longest. Now, Tenet is a very special movie. And you'll see me looking off like this a lot because I have a lot of notes here. But it starts John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, as well as Michael Caine's in this movie. And basically, this movie is about a man who doesn't actually have a name in the movie. He's known as the protagonist. He works for the CIA, and he's kind of doing a raid in the very beginning. And during this raid, he gets captured, and he's going through torture, being kind of interrogated. And he takes some cyanide to kill himself, and he actually gets saved, and he finds out that it's some sort of test for a company or an organization known as Tenet. And the whole point of this organization is they're investigating what's known as inverted material. Now, I don't want to get too much into the story and spoil things, but at the same time, the story can be very convoluted at times. This is not a bad movie. The problem with this movie, I feel, is that there are too many gaps in between where it gets a little bit boring. There's an extraordinary amount of exposition. Now, you hear this a lot when people criticize movies. Exposition. Exposition is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, if you look at a lot of Nolan's films, there is quite a bit of exposition. And sometimes the way he tends to tell stories, it is a bit required to kind of understand what's going on. You can look at movies like Memento. Memento is a good example of a story that has quite a bit of exposition, and even then it's kind of hard to follow, So this basically, the other problem with this movie is once you find out, and again, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this movie, maybe I can spoil it at this point, but I don't want to, just in case. Once you kind of find out who they're after and what that villain's purpose is, it really kind of falls flat. I got to be honest, it falls flat because, when you have such a good potential story that's telling a tale of something like time travel, and I say like time travel because yes, they refer to the future, they refer to the past, but they kind of do things very differently. I'm sure you've seen the trailers where things are going backwards. Well, that's kind of basically how it works. They enter these machines and they get inverted, and basically everything is kind of backwards on the other side. So when they're going to the future and do things to go back in time, they're literally going back. Now, that doesn't mean they're walking backwards or anything like that, but a lot of things change. Wind currents, driving is not as easy because everything, all matter, everything happening on the inverted side, matter, people that are not inverted, things that are all going in one direction. So the idea of going opposite that direction without kind of following without following which direction you should be in, you kind of screws you up. So for example, if you're in the inverted world and you drive against the inversion, you're going to struggle. But if you're actually going in reverse, if you're facing, again, I know it sounds crazy and you kind of got to see it to kind of understand what I'm getting at, but the problem, and it's cool. It is really cool. Don't get me wrong, man. Some of these scenes were incredibly shot, and some of the story elements are so good. And there are some little twists and turns here that when you see it, you're like, oh, there is one really good twist, but they kind of ruin it because you see it coming. It's very obvious, and I don't want to give that away. But the problem is when you get to the climax of this movie and you realize what it is, the person who is inverting things, he's going after these artifacts, and why he wants them and why he wants to put them together and what he wants to do is just, it's very disappointing. I got to say, this is definitely not one of Christopher Nolan's best pieces. And I kind of feel like he's in try-hard mode now because he's done such good jobs with like Inception. Obviously, everybody always praises him for the Batman movies. But the problem is that I kind of feel like he's in try-hard mode. I thought Interstellar was good. I don't even think Interstellar was his best work. But there's still, that movie is far beyond better than this one. But, before Batman, I would say that's some of Nolan's best work. And then, of course, Batman was great, but I kind of keep that separated because it's superhero genre, and he did a really good job with that. But I would say this movie is definitely not one of his best. And it's a shame. It's a shame because you see the potential, the action's there, the the special effects are there, the fight scenes, the story elements, and how they develop the story is there. It's really the goal of the villain, and a lot of scenes, a lot of sequences in between that kind of make the movie a little bit boring. And the last criticism I have, and Christopher Nolan has a bad habit of doing this, this happens in a lot of his movies. He really elevates the music and the sound and the score of his movies against the voices of the characters. He's done this. He did it in Interstellar. It's really, really grating because on one hand, I'm turning up the volume to listen to what they're saying. And then I got to lower the volume when it gets to an action sequence and the music starts getting crazy. So, and that's another thing. The music in this movie, it's good music. It doesn't really fit with what's going on, in my opinion. There are a couple of scenes that I'm watching and I'm like enjoying the action, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not feeling the music on this. So, but overall, you may enjoy it. I don't think it's Nolan's best work. In fact, I think it's some of his worst work in a long time. And again, even then, it's still better than probably a ton of, it's freaking better than Wonder Woman 84 by far. But it's probably better than most movies you're going to see at this point anyway. So even Nolan's worst really isn't bad, but when you watch what he's done and you see what he's capable of, you kind of hold him to a higher standard, and this was definitely a drop off in quality for him. So, but anyway, guys, that's it for this review. Let me know if you saw Tenet. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's good? Did you even understand what was going on? I have to admit, I had to watch it twice to kind of get an idea of things, and it is what it is, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I was okay with it, but I really thought it had the potential to be better, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.